Imagine standing on the edge of a rice paddy in rural Thailand. A short walk leads you to a small wooden house nestled among the fields, its structure humble but brimming with life. The house, its walls weathered and roof slightly askew, has likely stood here for generations, serving as a sanctuary for family gatherings and communal meals. Tonight, the house is alive with laughter and the clinking of glasses. Inside, the dining table is laden with a feast that could only be described as a celebration of Thai culinary artistry. Bowls of jasmine rice, fluffy and fragrant, sit alongside vibrant curries that balance sweet, sour, salty and spicy flavors. Grilled fish wrapped in banana leaves and tangy papaya salad with crushed peanuts complete the spread. But amidst the food, one item stands out: a simple glass bottle filled with a clear liquid. This is Lao Khao, Thailand's traditional rice whiskey. Its unassuming appearance belies its cultural significance and its potency. As someone begins to pour the liquid into small glasses, the room erupts in cheers, and the first toast of the evening is raised. For the locals, Lao Khao is more than just a drink. It is a tradition, a connection to their ancestors, and a symbol of resilience and community. For travelers, however, it represents both a fascinating cultural experience and a potentially dangerous adventure. What is it about Lao Khao that makes it so deeply rooted in Thai culture? Why has it remained a beloved drink for centuries despite its risks? To fully understand its significance, we must first dive into its history, production, cultural role, and the potential dangers it poses. The history of Lao Khao, from necessity to tradition. To understand Lao Khao, one must first understand the history of rice in Thailand. For over 5,000 years, rice has been the lifeblood of Thai civilization. From the fertile central plains to the mountainous north, rice has shaped Thailand's economy, culture, and traditions. Its cultivation has provided sustenance, trade opportunities, and even spiritual meaning. In rural Thailand, rice is often referred to as white gold, symbolizing its importance to everyday life. Lao Khao emerged as a way to preserve this invaluable crop. Before the advent of modern refrigeration or storage methods, farmers faced a common problem: what to do with surplus rice that would otherwise spoil. The solution was ingenious: fermenting and distilling the rice into a clear spirit. This method not only extended the shelf life of the grain, but also created a product that could be consumed during celebrations, traded for goods, or even used medicinally. During the Ayutthaya period, Lao Khao gained prominence as a staple in rural communities. Historical records suggest that it was commonly used as a libation during religious ceremonies and as an offering to ancestral spirits. Lao Khao was also a symbol of hospitality, served to guests as a sign of respect and generosity. By the late 19th century, its popularity had grown so widespread that it became a taxable commodity, with some regions using it as a form of barter. Despite its deep cultural roots, Lao Khao has remained a largely rural tradition, untouched by the commercialization of other Thai spirits. Unlike Sangsom rum or Mekong whiskey, which have become symbols of Thailand's nightlife, Lao Khao retains its rustic authenticity, a drink firmly rooted in the countryside. Cultural significance. Lao Khao in Thai. Rituals and daily life. Lao Khao is much more than just an alcoholic beverage. It is a cornerstone of Thai cultural practices. Its role in ceremonies, rituals, and everyday life speaks to its importance in maintaining traditions that have been passed down through generations. In rural Thailand, weddings are joyous, communal events where families and friends gather to celebrate the union of two people. Lao Khao plays a central role in these celebrations, often used in toasts to wish the couple prosperity and happiness. Sharing Lao Khao at a wedding is seen as a way to honor the union and strengthen the bonds between families. It is also common for elders to offer blessings over a shared glass, symbolizing the passing of wisdom and tradition to the next generation. At the other end of life's spectrum, Lao Khao is a fixture at funerals and remembrance ceremonies. In rural communities, funerals are not just somber occasions, they are also moments to celebrate the life of the departed. Lao Khao is often poured as an offering to the deceased, symbolizing respect and gratitude. It is shared among mourners as a way to honor the person's memory and to forge a sense of solidarity during a time of grief. Thailand's rural communities are deeply connected to the cycles of nature, and festivals often coincide with planting and harvest seasons. Lao Khao flows freely during these celebrations, where it is consumed alongside traditional foods and enjoyed with music and dancing. For farmers, these festivals are a time to relax and celebrate their hard work, and Lao Khao serves as both a reward and a unifying element. In many rural Thai households, Lao Khao is used as an offering to spirits and deities. It is believed that the spirits of the land protect the crops and ensure good fortune, and offering Lao Khao is a way to express gratitude. Small glasses of the spirit are often placed on altars or at the base of trees considered sacred. Beyond its ceremonial uses, Lao Khao is a staple of everyday social life in rural Thailand. Whether it's shared among neighbors after a long day of work or sipped during an impromptu gathering, Lao Khao fosters a sense of community and connection. It is a drink that brings people together, breaking down barriers and creating moments of shared joy. The production process, an art and a risk. Producing Lao Khao is both an art and a practice steeped in tradition. While modern distillation methods have become more commonplace in urban areas, rural communities often rely on time-honored techniques passed down through generations. These methods, though simple, are highly effective and reflect the ingenuity of Thai farmers. However, it is precisely this simplicity that introduces significant risks when Lao Khao is produced in unregulated environments. The production of Lao Khao begins with the most essential ingredient, rice. Freshly harvested rice is cooked and mixed with yeast and water in large clay or metal vats. This mixture, known as the mash, is left to ferment for several days, during which the yeast breaks down the natural starches in the rice into sugars and, eventually, alcohol. The length of fermentation varies depending on the producer, with some allowing the mash to ferment for up to a week to achieve a higher alcohol yield. The fermentation stage is critical to the final flavor of Lao Khao. The quality of the rice, the cleanliness of the equipment, and even the temperature of the environment can all influence the taste. In rural settings, fermentation often takes place in open spaces where the mash is exposed to the elements, adding to its rustic and unrefined character. After fermentation, the mash is ready for distillation. Traditional distillation involves heating the mash in a large pot, usually made of metal or clay. As the mash is heated, the alcohol evaporates and rises, leaving behind impurities and solids. The alcohol vapor is then funneled into a cooling coil, where it condenses back into liquid form. The result is a clear, potent spirit with a raw, fiery taste. While the distillation process may sound straightforward, it requires a skilled hand to ensure safety and quality. A common issue with homemade Lao Khao is improper distillation, which can lead to the presence of methanol, a toxic byproduct. Inexperienced or careless producers may inadvertently allow methanol to contaminate the final product, posing severe health risks to consumers. Unlike many other spirits, Lao Khao is typically consumed fresh, without any aging process. However, in some regions, producers choose to age the spirit in clay jars or wooden barrels for short periods. This mellowing process can soften the sharp edges of the alcohol and add subtle depth to its flavor. Aged Lao Khao is rare and often reserved for special occasions, as most villagers prefer the immediacy of freshly distilled whiskey. In rural areas, where Lao Khao is often made in small batches for personal use or local distribution, quality control is virtually non-existent. Producers may use rudimentary equipment, and the lack of oversight means that safety standards are often ignored. This unregulated environment increases the risk of contamination, particularly with methanol, a highly toxic compound that can cause blindness, organ failure, or death, even in small amounts. For travelers, this unpredictability underscores the importance of knowing where the Lao Khao they consume is sourced. Commercially produced Lao Khao, which is subject to government regulation, is generally safer, but homemade varieties should be approached with caution. Why is Lao Khao so popular? Despite its risks, Lao Khao remains an enduring staple in Thai culture, particularly in rural communities. Its popularity is driven by a combination of practical, cultural, and social factors that make it an integral part of everyday life. One of the primary reasons for Lao Khao's widespread appeal is its affordability. In rural areas, where incomes are often limited, Lao Khao provides an inexpensive way to celebrate life's milestones. A single bottle of Lao Khao costs only a fraction of what a commercially branded spirit or imported liquor might cost. This low price point ensures that it is accessible to everyone, from subsistence farmers to small business owners, making it a true drink of the people. For many rural families, Lao Khao represents not only a source of enjoyment but also a means of social inclusion. It allows even the most modest households to participate in communal events and celebrations without feeling financially burdened. The ability to share a bottle of Lao Khao with neighbors or guests is seen as a gesture of hospitality and generosity, regardless of one's economic status. In addition to its affordability, Lao Khao's availability contributes to its popularity. In rural Thailand, Lao Khao is often produced locally and distributed informally, making it easy to obtain. Villagers may purchase it directly from a neighbor who distills it, or they might brew it themselves for personal use. Its ubiquity ensures that Lao Khao is always on hand, whether for planned celebrations or spontaneous gatherings. Lao Khao is deeply rooted in Thai traditions, and its consumption is often imbued with cultural meaning. Sharing Lao Khao during a ceremony or gathering is not just about drinking. It is a way of participating in a ritual that has been practiced for centuries. For many Thais, Lao Khao represents a connection to their ancestors, who drank it during similar events in the past. The act of sharing Lao Khao is also a way of reinforcing social bonds. In rural communities, where interpersonal relationships are vital to survival and well-being, the simple act of pouring a glass for a friend or neighbor carries profound significance. It is a gesture of trust, camaraderie, and mutual respect. Beyond its role in celebrations, Lao Khao is a symbol of resilience and adaptability. Its production reflects the resourcefulness of rural farmers, who found a way to turn surplus rice into a valuable and versatile product. In times of hardship, Lao Khao has served as a source of income for struggling families, who sell their homemade whiskey to neighbors or at local markets. The hidden risks of Lao Khao. What travelers must know. While Lao Khao's cultural significance is undeniable, it is not without its dangers. For travelers unfamiliar with its potency and unregulated production, Lao Khao can pose serious health risks. One of the most immediate risks of Lao Khao is alcohol poisoning, a condition that occurs when the body absorbs more alcohol than it can safely process. With its unpredictable alcohol content, which can range from 25% to over 50%, Lao Khao can quickly overwhelm even experienced drinkers. A seemingly small amount can lead to symptoms such as nausea, confusion, and vomiting. In severe cases, alcohol poisoning can result in coma or death. Methanol contamination represents one of the most serious dangers associated with Lao Khao, particularly homemade or unregulated versions. Methanol, a toxic form of alcohol, is a byproduct of improper distillation processes. While ethanol, the primary form of alcohol in beverages, is safe in moderate amounts, methanol is highly toxic to the human body. Consuming even a small quantity can lead to devastating health consequences. When ingested, methanol is metabolized into formaldehyde and formic acid, which are both highly toxic. This process can cause a rapid onset of symptoms that affect the central nervous system and vital organs. Early signs of methanol poisoning include dizziness or lightheadedness, nausea and vomiting, blurred or double vision, and intense abdominal pain. If untreated, methanol poisoning can progress to more severe effects, including seizures, blindness, coma, and death. Methanol contamination is not a theoretical risk. It's a real and documented problem in Thailand. Homemade Lao Khao, especially in rural areas, is often produced with little to no oversight. Distillers may lack the equipment or knowledge necessary to separate methanol from ethanol during the distillation process, leading to dangerously high levels of methanol in the final product. Tragically, methanol poisoning incidents are often reported during festivals, weddings, or religious celebrations. These gatherings are occasions where large quantities of homemade Lao Khao are consumed, often without concern for quality or safety. In some cases, entire groups of people have been affected by a single contaminated batch, resulting in multiple fatalities and hospitalizations. One particularly devastating incident occurred during the Songkran Festival, Thailand's annual celebration of the Thai New Year. A group of villagers in northeastern Thailand consumed a batch of Lao Khao that had been improperly distilled. Within hours, several individuals began experiencing severe symptoms, including blindness and seizures. 4 people died, and others required intensive care. Such stories serve as grim reminders of the risks associated with unregulated Lao Khao. Methanol contamination in Lao Khao is primarily due to the lack of regulation and standardization in its production. Here are the main factors contributing to this widespread issue. Traditional Lao Khao distillation is often carried out by individuals with little formal training. Many rely on inherited techniques or rudimentary methods, which can result in incomplete separation of methanol from ethanol. Homemade Lao Khao is often distilled using makeshift equipment, such as old pots, barrels, or pipes. These tools are not designed to control the precise temperatures required to minimize methanol production during fermentation and distillation. In many rural communities, Lao Khao production is a critical source of income. Producers may prioritize quantity over quality, cutting corners to maximize profits. This often leads to batches that are hastily made and improperly distilled. In some areas, the risks associated with homemade Lao Khao are widely known but rarely addressed. Drinking Lao Khao is deeply ingrained in local culture, and many view it as an unavoidable part of life. This cultural normalization can overshadow safety concerns, perpetuating risky practices. Methanol poisoning can be particularly insidious because its symptoms often take time to fully manifest. This delay can make it difficult to recognize the danger until it's too late. Within the first 12 hours, symptoms may appear mild and easily mistaken for a standard hangover. These include headache, dizziness, and general discomfort. 12 to 24 hours after consumption, as methanol is metabolized into formaldehyde and formic acid, symptoms escalate. Blurred vision, light sensitivity, and intense abdominal pain may set in. Beyond 24 hours, if untreated, methanol poisoning can lead to severe complications, including seizures, loss of consciousness, and permanent damage to the optic nerve, resulting in blindness. In fatal cases, death occurs as the toxins overwhelm the body's vital systems. For travelers unfamiliar with Lao Khao, the lack of regulation in homemade production poses a significant challenge. Unlike commercially produced alcoholic beverages, homemade Lao Khao offers no guarantee of quality or consistency. Every sip carries an element of risk. Compounding the issue is the fact that methanol poisoning can be mistaken for ordinary alcohol intoxication. Travelers might dismiss early symptoms as the result of overindulgence, delaying critical medical intervention. In rural areas, access to advanced medical care is often limited, further increasing the danger. Prevention and safety tips. While methanol contamination is a serious risk, there are steps you can take to minimize your chances of encountering it. Unless you are certain of its source, avoid drinking Lao Khao from unregulated or homemade batches. Commercially produced versions, regulated by the Thai Excise Department, are far safer options. If you're in a rural area where Lao Khao is being served, take note of how it's being consumed. If locals seem hesitant or cautious about a particular batch, it's a clear warning sign. Familiarize yourself with the early symptoms of methanol poisoning, such as dizziness and blurred vision. If you or someone in your group begins to experience these signs, seek medical help immediately. Ask questions about where the Lao Khao was produced and how it was made. Producers who are transparent about their methods are more likely to adhere to safer practices. Lao Khao is an iconic part of Thai culture, but experiencing it doesn't always mean drinking it. Observing or learning about its role in the community can be just as enriching without the risks. To put the risks of methanol poisoning into perspective, consider this story. A young traveler named Emily was backpacking through Thailand and joined a local festival in a rural village. She was warmly invited to partake in Lao Khao, a gesture of hospitality she didn't want to refuse. Emily drank just one glass of the homemade liquor, unaware of its potential dangers. The next morning, she woke up with a splitting headache and blurred vision. Thinking it was just a bad hangover, she delayed seeking help. By the time she arrived at a clinic 2 days later, her vision loss was irreversible. Emily's story highlights a critical lesson. Methanol poisoning doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a local or a traveler, the risks are real, and the consequences can be life-altering. Methanol contamination isn't just a risk, it's a silent killer that lurks in every unregulated batch of Lao Khao. By understanding its dangers and taking steps to protect yourself, you can avoid becoming another tragic statistic. Thailand's cultural richness is worth experiencing, but it should never come at the cost of your health or safety. Long-term health risks, the hidden cost of Lao Khao. Even for those who avoid immediate harm, chronic consumption of Lao Khao can have serious long-term health consequences. The unrefined nature of the spirit means that it often contains impurities and toxins that can accumulate in the body over time. Heavy or prolonged drinking can lead to liver damage, cardiovascular issues, and an increased risk of cancers affecting the throat, stomach, and liver. Social pressure navigating cultural expectations. In rural Thailand, refusing a drink of Lao Khao can be seen as impolite or disrespectful, particularly if it is offered as part of a celebration or ritual. For travelers, this cultural expectation can create awkward situations where they feel obligated to drink, even if they are uncomfortable with the risks. Understanding how to navigate these moments with tact and respect is essential for anyone traveling in the region. How to experience Lao Khao safely. For those who wish to experience Lao Khao while minimizing the risks, the following tips can help. First, choose commercial brands. Whenever possible, opt for Lao Khao, which has been commercially produced and regulated. These versions are generally safer than homemade varieties. Second, start small. Lao Khao's potency can be deceptive. Begin with a small sip to gauge its strength and your body's reaction. Third, hydrate. Alcohol dehydrates the body, and Lao Khao is no exception. Drink plenty of water to stay hydrated and minimize hangover symptoms. Fourth, avoid homemade Lao Khao. Unless you are certain of the source, steer clear of homemade batches, which are more likely to contain methanol or other impurities. Fifth, drink with friends. Never drink Lao Khao alone, especially if it is your first time. Having someone nearby ensures that help is available if you feel unwell. Finally, know when to say no. While it can be challenging to decline a drink in social settings, prioritizing your health and safety is always the right choice. Practice polite ways to decline, such as explaining that you prefer lighter beverages. Final thoughts. Lao Khao's complex legacy. Lao Khao is far more than just a drink. It is a cultural artifact, a symbol of resilience, and a testament to the ingenuity of Thailand's rural communities. For locals, it represents connection, tradition, and pride. For travelers, it offers a rare glimpse into the heart of Thai culture, a chance to step into a world shaped by centuries of history and shared experiences. But with this opportunity comes responsibility. By approaching Lao Khao with caution, respect, and a willingness to learn, travelers can appreciate it for what it truly is, a drink that embodies the spirit of Thailand in all its fiery complexity.